Now at 9 o'clock and streaming on CBSN Los Angeles, breaking news. A fireworks explosion rocks a South LA neighborhood. LAPD was seizing 5,000 pounds of illegal fireworks when their bomb disposal truck just exploded.
That's right. It all happened just feet from homes on 27th Street near St. Pedro Street in South LA. 9 people are hurt and the LAPD bomb truck is destroyed. And
KCAL 9's Nicole Comstock has been on the scene since shortly after the bust this afternoon. Nicole, tell us what's happening now.
Well, Pat, such a devastating and unexpected end to this fireworks bust in this neighborhood in South Los Angeles today. If you take a look behind us here, we're at Adams and San Pedro Street. You can see just a ton of police cars, fire department SUVs, ambulances, and fire engines. And as we speak, they're still taking more stretchers back a couple of streets behind us to see if they have any more victims who have injuries. They've been wheeling them right down San Pedro Street in front of us and taking them away from this area to get medical attention. We want to get you right to this video so you can see this devastating explosion we're talking about. Take a look right here and you can see just everything blow out of this armored vehicle. The roof blew off, the sides of it, it basically just disintegrated, and a little ball of fire went up in the air when this happened. Cars in the area were kind of pushed up onto their sides. This happened at about 7:35 this evening. Firefighters at the time, the bomb squad was actually trying to safely detonate explosive homemade materials inside of it when this happened. If you go to the next video, we're hearing so far 9 people at least were injured out here when shrapnel from this truck hit them. We know that some of them may have been inside homes nearby at the time. There were tons of bystanders and neighbors who came out to check out what they thought would be, a cool, blowing up sound in the neighborhood. They thought they would be safe out here. As we mentioned, LAFD just wheeled lots of ambulances out here to help those people that have been injured. The next video, you can see the garage at this home on 27th Street that was just absolutely packed full of giant pallets and boxes of fireworks. The LAPD told us earlier today, a captain with the LAPD, that they located over 5,000 pounds of illegal fireworks, that in addition to that, they also had homemade improvised explosive devices. The closest way they can describe that so that people understand what that is really, really big M80s. So not something you want to be stockpiled in a home next door to you. They basically took hours today loading these into a semi-truck with a forklift to clear the garage and get them out of this neighborhood. So basically they were loading this bomb disposal truck for hours, also putting those homemade improvised explosive devices in the back of it because they thought that they were too unsafe, too unstable. They probably didn't really know the magnitude of what they were dealing with. They wanted to safely blow these up inside of that armored vehicle, which really should have been safe for everyone in the neighborhood. 7:28 is the last load they put into that truck. 2 officers, we have video of them doing that. And then 7 minutes later, everyone out here was absolutely blown away and shocked when that truck exploded right in the middle of this residential neighborhood. A lot of people are wondering, the LAPD and the bomb squad and the fire department, they're not exactly sure what they're dealing with. That's the real danger of making your own homemade fireworks. You probably have no professional experience when you're doing this. It's a huge money-making operation for people who sell fireworks in neighborhoods, maybe even who make them themselves and sell them to other people because they know people want something that's going to make a really big boom sound when they blow it up in their neighborhood on the 4th of July. This is the unfortunate, devastating consequence of that even the trained professionals who should be able to render this device safe probably didn't even know the magnitude of what they were dealing with out here. All of their lives were put in danger, the people who live in the homes nearby, and then all of the, spectators who gathered out here to see the experts do their work and make this neighborhood safe out here tonight. So our hearts are with everybody that was injured. Looks like a couple of people wheeled away on the stretchers, were bleeding. We're hoping none of them have serious injuries, but, everyone who heard this thing, their ears are ringing. You could feel the blast. Chunks of metal were flying off across the street. Windows at all the businesses were blown out. So this was a massive explosion out here, Pat.
Well, you know something, Nicole, our thoughts are always, we're going to go back to March of this year when there were actually 2 people who were killed from a fireworks blast, illegal fireworks explosion, homes destroyed. My question to you is, A, do we know if they got all of those illegal explosive devices out of that home, all the boxes into this truck at this time, or are there still some boxes of fireworks and illegal explosive devices that have not been loaded?
Well, Pat, it looked like they probably got all of the regular commercial-grade illegal fireworks out of the house because, as we said, we were standing right by the alley where they were using these pieces of heavy equipment basically to load them up on pallets and get them into the back of a semi-truck. And they packed that thing full, and we saw them drive that truck out of here. So it seemed like they got everything, and if not, maybe they were bringing in another truck. But it doesn't even seem like those explosive devices are what caused this explosion out here, but whatever amount of homemade explosives this guy they arrested at the scene out here today was probably making inside of the home or maybe got from someone else. But those are the ones described as really big M80s that the bomb squad was concerned with. That's what they put in the back of the truck out here today, and that's what blew up. So it really shows you the danger of people without experience messing around with explosives like this in the middle of a residential neighborhood. Not to mention they had a couple of kids living in that house. So now there's an open child endangerment investigation. And this guy's facing some really serious charges. So we're not sure if other people in the home were aware of what he was stockpiling in it. It almost seems like it was just a stash house, but unbelievably, a family was living in there. And one of the neighbors who got wind of it somehow maybe heard fireworks or saw them roll up that garage door and saw what they had inside, finally called the LAPD and said, something really dangerous is lurking in this neighborhood and I'm afraid of it. And, you know, this is what happened out here today as a result of that.
Yeah, so dangerous, Nicole. All right, thank you very much.